in regular life, I'm looking for people to go around me. Like I want other satellites, people who look up to me, look towards me. Look, that's material consciousness, where I want to be the center and satellite people are floating around me and they're serving my ego. In a spiritual realm, we're putting the object of worship in the center to our right, and we're walking around that person. We're becoming the satellite around God, and God is at the center of our solar system, of our theo system.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from South India, Goa, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. It's episode 1536. It's Saturday. I was going to say sleep in Saturday, but we're doing it early. And it's February 15, 2025. We are live here in India. Kaustubha's in Govardhan, in Vrindavan. And he's with a little crew of people. Me and Mara are on breakaway. We're like breakaway from people. And we're having a very productive.
That's what I was just about to ask. How productive? How's the cookbook coming along?
Mara?
Coming along well.
Yeah. It's
now that I've kind of dived into it, it's actually really fun to get into it.
Yeah.
You know what? Writing... Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we are being very productive. We are being very relaxed. We are eating healthy. We're going for long walks every day.
Does healthy mean pina colada?
Do you like pina colada? No, but it means coconut water. Okay, and a lot of salads, which is hard to get, sort of like on this trip so far. It's been hard to get good.
Was that a plastic coconut water bottle? What did you just say?
That was, but I have a lot of fresh ones too. But sometimes
I was going to say, you're in a land of coconuts over there.
It is a land of coconuts, but I didn't bring an axe with me, so I can't open them. But I have coconut water every day. I have smoothies every day. Goa, you can get
swimming?
These
yes,
every day. Every day.
How about what's the jellyfish situation over there? Because I hear it's really bad over there. Tell the truth, Mary.
Single one, not one.
People just swim. They do, people, they swim out and they just swim. There's a whole crew. It is the nicest beach so far, and I'm sure it was nicer in the 60s and the 70s, but South Goa is just so pleasant. And the restaurants are very progressive, right? They have recipes like, what was that smoothie with ashwagandha, reishi mushrooms? You're not eating it's not like you're at an Indian takeout place where you just get pakoras and lassi. You're getting Westerners who purchase restaurants here from, France or England, and they have very cutting edge, healthy foods, good oils. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good. And we're relaxing, and I'm working on the new podcast, and I'm working on the 6 Pillars book, and Mara's working on the cookbook. We're just getting stuff done.
Yeah. Let's go back to the cookbook. Are you writing a lengthy kind of introduction kind of thing to it?
Yeah, I've been working on.
What's the theme?
I don't know that it has a theme per se.
It's Wisdom of the Sages.
Yeah, it's
theme.
Wisdom of the Sages audience, and it's geared towards helping people incorporate more plant-based foods in their diet and healthy ways to do that.
Healthy, simple ways, but she has a whole thing on infused waters. Very cool. Infused with herbs or fruits or seeds or,
Was it those infused waters that made you ¡1 in Columbia County? Or was it the vegan meatballs?
Might have been the vegan
meatballs.
It'll all be in the cookbook.
Yeah.
People can decide for themselves.
Okay.
Sounds
great.
She's got gourmets.
Thank you.
It's just next level gourmet goodies, but made simple too.
Yeah, made simple so you can just make it for your family at home for dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. All right, we're gonna get started.
What are you doing over there?
This evening, after this podcast is done, we're gonna go to Radhakund.
Exciting.
Offer prayers there. Offer prayers to Srimati Radharani.
Okay, Miss Mara's got a message. I'm gonna close the door because it's loud out. Mara, what's your message?
Well, there'll be no show tomorrow, but also There is Urban Davy via the Bhakti Center, and our
Oh, yeah.
dear friend Genevieve Harrison
Get
will
out.
be on with the topic Into the Forest, a Creative Journey, exploring her journey of creating her spiritual music album, Into the Forest.
All
So that's
right.
at the Bhakti Center, bhakticenter.org, and that's 11 a.m. Eastern time to join.
That's free, but that's only for the ladies.
That's right.
Correct.
Ladies, all right.
Not allowed. It's kind of like we were at Vungsivat last night talking about the Rasa dance. It's like
Oh,
no boys allowed.
No
That's
boys
right.
allowed. Shiva couldn't get in.
Yeah.
Yet, if you want to approach Krishna, you got to approach Shiva first. He's the
Mm.
gatekeeper.
You
Very
know,
exciting.
we went to Gopeshwar Mahadev temple last night.
How
It
was the
beautiful.
mood?
The mood was festive. It was like you know, like that inner kind of marg around on the inside. You know how you can walk around.
Yeah.
So there were 3 or 4 men sitting there, and they were singing Gopi Gita. Tavagatamritam. They had a different melody for Tavagatamritam. You know, like all that, like going on and on. They had it memorized, and they were singing it with devotional enthusiasm. I mean, they were singing it with such enthusiasm, like people just started dancing to it. You know, you just naturally dance to it. They were so happy. Imagine that. Nice way to
Beautiful.
spend the evening, huh? Memorizing the
Yeah.
most beautiful, meaningful poetry and singing it with enthusiasm and just being happy. It was nice.
I'm obsessed with this new kirtan band. I don't know if it's new, but it's new to me.
Yeah.
Mara, maybe you
What
can
are
put
they
that
about?
link up the board. You know, there's 2 women that have this like long, straight hair, really sort of
Is
like,
it about the hair or is it about the kirtan?
no, I don't know. It's about the kirtan, but they have a good
I'm not
look.
sure.
As a guy in the music business for years, they've got such a great look. I think they're
Okay.
identical twins, but I can't put it out. They're called
Oh, I've
Atmosphera.
seen them. They sing like
Have you seen them?
classical Indian stuff.
No.
Oh, there's 2 girls out there. They're
Oh,
like
yes. There are 2 girls
Western.
there. I follow
They're
them on
like
Instagram
precision.
too.
Those
Precision
girls are good.
Sanskrit mantras.
Yeah.
Mary, you got to put it on the board here. Okay. No. It's called Atma, like an Atma, then
Samadhi
Sphera.
Collective?
Sphera,
Two girls?
Svera. Yeah.
That one's called Samadhi Collective. I think the other one, Raghunath. Those 2 girls that sing. Oh no, he froze up. No, Raghunath, don't freeze up on me now. Okay. There's nothing we can do without him right now because it's Q&A day. Well, I guess we could bring on the people to do the questions and answers. That's what we could do. Okay, Raghunath, please come back. So we'll wait for Raghunath to come back. Or rather, we won't wait for Raghunath to come back. We'll keep going. Today's a Q&A day, and hold it. Raghunath sent me a message. Again, here we are, most professional podcast out there. They're having a blackout there. All right, so then we're just going to have to get this moving without Raghunath, although I want to hear. I'm getting lots of messages from Lost the Power. We're having a blackout here. I know that's what a blackout means. I'm the host now, and he's sending more info. Let me just see if he's coming back. You could do the show without me, and when it jumps back on, I'll come on. But if you want to answer these questions and bring your people on, that works too. I'm going to say, come back. We miss you, Rogo. Okay, so then, but I'll tell him, but we'll get started. We will start. Okay. All right, so let's get into it. And Dan, we're going to start with you, Dan, huh? Why don't you come on up, everybody? Let's have a round of applause for Dan. Oh, I think Raghunath's coming back on, too. So let's wait 1 second. He says his electricity's back on. Come on up. And I get to do what Raghunath always likes to do, which is to interview people and ask their story. Have you been on the show before?
I was on Walk on Wednesday one time.
Right. Okay. That was that talking about the prasadam distribution?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you just give us a little refresher on that.
On the prasadam distribution?
Yeah, like your service, what you do, maybe even your job, briefly how you got into bhakti, like that.
My name is Dan. I'm from Philadelphia. I initially got into bhakti through meeting Raghu when I was a teenager, and almost 35 years ago. And then I just dabbled around the perimeter for a long time. And then now here I am in India with you.
Okay, that was brief. And tell us a little bit about the service that you do in Philadelphia.
Through the ISKCON Temple in Philadelphia, I lead a prasadam distribution program weekly. Every Saturday, I do it with a bunch of devotees, with the support of our temple president, Dronacharya, and much help from a lot of really great devotees. We distribute prasadam, about 125 plates every Saturday. We just started a new location. But yeah, if you're ever in Philadelphia, you can please come serve with us, or please just let us serve you.
Okay. Perfect. I love that. So you've been, you had just, actually this little tour that we have, this little group that we have started, right, with you and Yvette, saying we're coming to Mayapur for a few days. We want to go to Vrindavan. You know, would you tag along with us, or could we tag along with you? And I said, yeah. And then a few more people tacked on, and a few more, and a few more. And now we have a group of about like 12 people. But this is your first time to India and your first time in these holy places. How does it feel so far?
I don't have many words for it. I'm overwhelmed in a really good way, and I'm with a really great group of people, with a great leader and teacher. So I'm just thankful.
Thank you. Any highlights, or is it all kind of blended together?
The temple we went to today was maybe it's the freshest in my mind, but the Radha Govinda temple. Sorry, Radha Damodar. As you can see, I've been to many temples. The Radha Damodar temple, yes. It was just an ecstatic mood, and yeah, I don't know what I'm walking into at all, but I really didn't expect it, and it was perfect.
That's wonderful. Radha Damodar.
What did I miss? What did I miss?
Oh, you're good. We just brought Dan on. He's just sharing a little bit about how he got here and everything.
Oh, great. Dan's from the old school of shelter in the temple days. He was just a little boy.
He's a little boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, anyway, great.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So, what's your question for today, Dan?
What is parikram? I think I know, and I understand what it physically is, but I would love to learn more about it. Is it the same as like when we walk around in Govardhan? Is it the same as walking around Tulsi? Is that a bigger version of it, or is the circumambulation just expanded according to the time, place, and circumstance?
Yeah.
Great question. Would you like to start, Raghu?
Sure. Parikrama. Krama means to like a step, and pari means to like to go around, maybe to twist around.
Yes.
To
Around, yeah.
to go around. So in regular life, I'm looking for people to go around me. Like I want other satellites, people who look up to me, look towards me. That's material consciousness, where I want to be the center, and satellite people are floating around me and they're serving my ego. In a spiritual realm, we're putting the object of worship in the center to our right, and we're walking around that person. We're becoming the satellite around God, and God is at the center of our solar system, of our theo system. God's at the center. We're taking ourselves out of the center, and it's a way to honor that sacred object or sacred thing or sacred manifestation of God in the center. So there's parikramas around sacred hills of Lord Shiva. There's parikramas around all of Braj Mandala, which is, 84 krosh, which is like 170 miles or something. Or there's Vrindavan Panch Krosh Parikrama, which is like a Panch Krosh. What's that like?
5 crushes.
5 crushes.
You know what the Punch Krosh is roughly equivalent to? Size of Central Park.
Oh, really? Okay.
For those that know about that. Yes, it takes about 2 hours to walk around, right?
Yeah, and then there's like like in the temples, we all circumambulate the parikrama around the Tulsi, and now you're at Govardhan, and people want to walk around all of Govardhan, and it's a way to honor Govardhan. And it's nice to do it barefoot if you can do it barefoot. the barefoot thing's a little tricky now because part of it is, well, I would do it barefoot if it was just like the earth, but part of it's the street and part of it's like gravel and part of it's maybe a piece of glass or something. So there's that little sketchiness of it as well. But it's really nice to have your foot grounded, the sole of your foot grounded to that sacred earth. So even if you have to carry your shoes in a bag, so you can at times switch them off and on. I know the first time I walked around Govardhan, I was like, oh, walking barefoot, that sounds fun. About 1 kilometer in, I was like, God, I'm not used to walking barefoot. And I'm not used to walking barefoot. I went at night, and I'm not used to walking at night. And I'm not used to, stubbing my toe. And I'm not used to, walking around India with a stubbed toe that's bleeding, can get all types of infections. And so anyway, my mind spun out of control, as you could probably tell. And
It's in the book, right?
it's all in the book. I think that came out in the book. I can't remember. But yeah, so it's not easy to walk 21 kilometers around a hill. But it's quite breathtaking. And you can even do a half parikram, that people do half parikrams nowadays. And and because Govardhan's so special, every stone at Govardhan is considered a deity of Krishna. That's amazing. And so sometimes a temple will be nothing more than someone painted a face on the side of a rock. And then they built a little temple around that side of the rock, and that's a temple. And so the whole thing is quite magnificent. And it's nice just to sit down, find some quiet place where it's natural and beautiful, and do some prayers. And you got to understand, Govardhan, they say, fulfills all desires. So you got to be really careful what you desire, because a lot of times our desires are not calibrated with our intelligence. They're just completely two different things. Intelligence says one thing, desires want another thing. So you got to really check in with your heart of hearts. What do you want if you could want anything? I tell you, in my own life, I usually pray for the deep connection of my heart with God and all of my people that I love, family members, friends, and stuff, for their deep connection. I never pray for even like healing or health, because sometimes I feel like, you know what, that's what God wants to put me through or somebody through. I pray for connection, because even if I have bad health, but I'm spiritually connected, I feel that's a good thing. But yeah, Govardhan is like a wish fulfilling mountain. You're going to have a great time.
All right. Thank you, Raghunath. I'll just speak a little to that with what Raghunath shared. I think he covered it pretty well. Yogis, there's all different sorts of yogis. But essentially what they're all doing is addressing the mind and how it works, because the mind is seen to an obstacle to our experiencing our own true nature. And so, like some yogis, they're doing breath control, but it's kind of like their laboratory of experimenting with consciousness. I can experiment with breath control, I can experiment with asana, I can experiment with not speaking for a long time and take a vow not to speak. I can experiment. There's so many different ways that you go to Kumbh Mela right now and you're going to just see like a whole smorgasbord of different ways. But our idea in Bhakti is that it says, Sarve Vidi Nasedashur, that Etiyor Eva Kinkara, that all of the rules or the regulations or the practices, the different things that we do, including parikrama, they're all meant as servants of one rule. And that is to always remember Krishna, right? Or you could say two, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Right? So like our idea is, if we can bring our mind to Krishna, everything's going to be perfect. That's what we're meant to feel naturally. And somehow in a very unnatural state, our mind, our heart is disconnected from the root of our existence, from the divine, loving, magnanimous, root of where we come from. So how do we get our mind back? We've been practicing so long, taking our mind in so many different directions. Oh, I tell you, it's sad when we think about the places that our minds go, and they don't need to go there, but we get stuck. We get stuck in patterns, just consuming stuff that really it really has nothing going for it. So the Bhakti yogis are like, let's create exercises through which we bring our mind to Krishna. And one of the most simple and powerful ones is parikrama, and we're going to walk around. It's a way of showing respect, as Raghunath said. It's a way it symbolizes our centering our life around what it is that we're circling. But more than just symbolizing it, it actually engages our mind in that way, engages our body in that way. So parikrama is part of the power of it. Is there is some physical effort that's going into it. Particularly you do Govardhan Parikrama, it's like, it's 14 miles. You put in some effort to go around that hill, and you're dedicating your body. You're dedicating your energy, you're dedicating your effort, you're bringing your mind there. And our faith is that bringing the mind to this, we could call it Leelastan or Leelastali, this place where Krishna had his pastimes, that this is the ideal, super powerful, incredibly magnanimous, incredibly purifying, and giving great hope object of meditation. Govardhan for us, it's the whole Leela of Govardhan, Krishna's Leela Govardhan. In one sense, so much of his Leela takes place at Govardhan. And of course, there's a very famous Leela in Bhagavatam where Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill. But even that Leela is full of so many facets. There's teachings in that, but it's more than teaching. It's like, the story is didactic in the sense that there's lessons about life in it. But beyond that, it's like it's the most inspiring place for meditation and most inspiring object of meditation. All of our great teachers, they all lived at Govardhan. You go right down all the 6 Goswamis. Raghunath Das Goswami lived at Radhakund, which is part of Govardhan. Sanatana Goswami had his place. Rupa Goswami was here. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was here. All of the Goswamis would spend time. There's a famous Raghunath Das Goswami wrote one prayer, where the refrain is Nij Nikita Nivasa Dehi Govardhan Tvam. What's my desire? I just desire that someday I can just have a little space. I could stay right near you, right? Because this it's a place we find. It's a place where bringing the mind to Krishna becomes easy. There's some blessing here that although we struggle in this world with all its distractions, when we walk around Govardhan, our mind easily goes to Govardhan, easily goes to Krishna in a happy way. And the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Krishna, they feel a special gratitude to Govardhan Hill. The pastime in the Bhagavatam is so sweet that you have, it was interesting. It was interesting. We were with Leela Vilasini yesterday, who is such a great storyteller of Krishna's Leelas. And she told something, and when I just heard it, it something just kind of clicked in me in a way. But she was describing that Krishna was showing his friends all of the avatars. Like, look, I'm not Lord Nrsingadev. And then he would become Lord Nrsingadev. And look, I'm Lord Ram. And then they would look at him and he's like Lord Ram. But rather than bowing down on the ground and starting to go into prayers of reverence, because their love for Krishna is so intense and intimate, for them it was just like, oh, look what Krishna can do. It just made them love him as him. It didn't make them see him differently. It just made them love him as him all the more. And so within Krishna's Leela, his family and friends and the atmosphere, the people that he's living with, they're living kind of like a Vedic lifestyle. So his father, although he loves Krishna more than anyone, he's thinking, okay, we need to do our worship of Lord Indra because he sends the rain, right? We need to do our rituals, our Vedic rituals. And but his Vedic rituals are all in relation to Krishna. And so when little Krishna, tugs on him and says, what are we doing this ritual? What is this all about? Tell me, He's just a little boy. Could you fill me in? What's going on here? And his father's like, well, we do this ritual to honor the god of the rain. He gives the rain, which provides our crops. We're farm kind of people. And Krishna just starts to say, well, yeah, rain, it falls on the earth, but it falls on the ocean too. And, and really, if we owe our respects to anyone, it's to this hill. I mean, look at what this hill provides. All the grasses for our cows, it provides it, All the water that we need for the cows, it's here. We come here, we play every day. Our life is taking care of the cows. No one gives us more for the cows than this hill. Why don't we take this ritual that you're going to do to honor Indra, and why don't we use it to honor Govardhan Hill instead? Which is just like an outrageous thing for a kid to say. It's like you don't step in. It's like a little kid walking into the church and saying, instead of like having this Eucharist, why don't we do it for something else here today? Normally they're going to say, no, oh, that's cute. Now let us do our thing. But they're all just that their love for him was so deep and they're so charmed. Okay, if that's what Krishna wants to do, that's what we'll do. And so they did it. And of course, that led to Indra's fury and his trying to wipe out Vrindavan, and ultimately Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. And, and once he's lifting Govardhan Hill, he's showing that I'm no ordinary boy. It's in the Bhagavatam, what it's showing is that Indra, who, if you read about him in the Vedas, he seems like this great superhero. He's on the level of anyone out there. No. He's a subordinate to that root of all existence. He also stems from that root, but he's dependent on that root, and so that wasn't so clear with him. So Krishna demonstrated it. So that's didactic, right? Let us understand who's who and how the universe works and where it's all coming from. That's the didactic part. But when Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill, all the resonance come under the hill. And it's all the varieties of love that Krishna feels, usually kind of like largely in separate settings, right? When he's with the girls, particularly when he may be out in some secret place. When he's with the boys, he's out in the pastures with the cows. When he's in his home with his parents and so on. Now everybody was all together in one spot, and he was. In one sense, more clearly than ever, like the center of everything. Because like when the girls, when they see Krishna, they can't be letting it on that they're totally infatuated with this boy. But when he's lifting the hill and everybody's under, they can just stare at him for 7 days, and like everyone's like, Krishna, this is incredible, So he was enjoying so much, all different varieties of love, under that hill, and the circumstance of this beyond torrential rain, storm, a life-threatening storm, just created the perfect atmosphere, like of intimacy. Everyone, let's all get together under that hill. Krishna's lifting it. We can all go under there. And they just shared love, there. And so there's didactic messages there, but there's also this is something to meditate on. The love that the residents of Vrindavan have for Krishna. This is why all of our great acharyas come here. Let me meditate on that. Let my mind go deep into that. Our mind can go deep into so many different subject matters. Let my mind go deep into that. It's a beautiful mystery. Let me penetrate it by Krishna's grace further and further and further. And in order to facilitate that, in order to help open up the possibility of that, we're going to walk around Govardhan Hill. We're going to demonstrate physically that this is what we want to be the center of our life, the center of our meditation, the center of our consciousness. We'll do that physically, and that'll aid us in it becoming our natural mind state. So we do parikrama, we walk around. Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Okay.
Dan, we're happy you're there.
Hey, we got Raghu back.
I'm back.
I was just going on and on, Raghu, because you weren't around. Thank you,
okay.
Dan.
It's just the electricity's been spotty. Just goes off, comes back on, goes off.
Can't you do something about that?
It's out of my circle of influence.
Is it?
It's in my circle of concern, though.
Okay. All right. Okay, who's next? I thought you just disappeared again. You're still here. Good.
Come on
who's
down.
next?
Who you got?
We've got people pointing at each other, but it's going to be Chapu. We got Chapu coming up next.
Oh,
Let's hear it for Chapu. There we go. Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto.
Aunque ya te conocía, pero bueno, mucho gusto. Buenas,
I got
Haribol.
it. Hey, Chapu. Before we start, Chapu, I have a Krishna miracle for Kaustubha.
Okay.
Talk about a Krishna miracle. So, all right, check this out. So, our good friend Sri Govinda
Yeah.
contacted me yesterday. He's like, "You're never going to believe what happened." I said, "Well, what
Oh.
happened?" And he goes, I'm working with a lawyer for a project, and turns out the lawyer is Harley Flanagan's wife.
What?
Is that
That
crazy?
is insane.
He's like,
That's insane.
yeah, it's insane, isn't
Who's
it?
someone who's a friend of ours?
Yeah, I
Lord.
know. It's a complete crazy Krishna circle. I'm glad you saw that as a miracle.
You see, that's a mathematical possibility that's just out of a normal thing, right? Of all
Yeah,
the
and I
lawyers,
don't know how
because
they
he lives
started
in South America, right? Or maybe it's
Yeah.
in New York that it was happening.
Yeah, it's in New York, but still.
Okay, that diminishes the mathematical thing a lot right there, right now. But still,
It's pretty good. And the fact that
Still
they
pretty
even
good.
somehow brought up the word Krishna.
oh, in the conversation. Okay, he just froze up. He froze up again. Okay, but that's very interesting. Yeah, Harley Flanagan is of course, our childhood friend. And okay, it would have meant more if the whole thing was happening in South America, but still pretty good. Okay, until Raghunath gets back here, we may as well get right into the question. Chapuji, question?
Write the question. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we heard from you just like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you already know me. I'm not interesting enough. Okay. It was a quick question. I've seen in temples before that the main deities are Radha Krishna, but in the Vrindavan temple is Krishna Balaram, and in Mayapur, this like new temple that they're building, the main deities are going to be Panchatattva. So I was curious about, what's the difference? Does it have like any specific meaning or something?
Yeah, that's a good question because in one sense we do consider the worship of Radha and Krishna to be the pinnacle of our lineage's interest, So now, of course, in Vrindavan, is Raghu here? Is that Raghu?
Back. Just made it back.
Okay. Did you hear the question, Raghu?
No.
Why in Vrindavan generally see Radha and Krishna are like the center in the temple? They're in the center, center
It's
altar.
peculiar. They're not at the center at Krishna Balaram Mandir.
And then in the TOVP in Mayapur, the temple of the Vedic planetarium, in the center will be the Panchatattva, Lord Chaitanya and his associates, and Radha Madhava and the Astasakis, the gopis, will be on the side. Any thoughts, Raghu?
Yeah, well, when they built that temple, that area of Vrindavan where they built the temple, there was nothing there. But that's where Krishna used to herd the cowherd boys. He used to herd the cows. He herded the cows with the cowherd boys.
Okay.
I'm sure those cowherd boys went off and did their own thing, and he had to herd them in too. And that's called Raman Reti, or like the golden sands. And so Krishna and Balaram, because it was at that place, I think that's why Prabhupada wanted the Krishna Balaram Mandir, because that's where Krishna and Balaram used to hang out. And in Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya is the star of the show. It's Lord Chaitanya's land, his birthplace. He is the Kali Yuga avatar, and he's taken the center stage. That's his place. In the same way, Krishna and Balaram, that's their place. That's my answer.
That's definitely, that's a good answer, Raghunath. I think we could say there's actually, regarding the Krishna Balaram temple, I can think of a few reasons. One is that's because particularly Raman Reti, that area was known for, of course, Krishna's herding the cows all over the place, right? But somehow that was a place a very regular place for them. Another thing was Prabhupada said that he wanted to show the world, because it's next to them are the deities of Gaur Nitai, or Sri Chaitanya Nityananda. He wanted to show the world that the worship of Gaur Nitai is non-different from the worship of Krishna and Balaram. Because not everybody in the world gets that, right? Another thing is some people believe, I'm not saying I believe or disbelieve, but some people believe that Prabhupada's, his eternal role in Krishna's Leelas is a cowherd boy. So maybe he had some special
inside info.
So maybe that was just his own expression of his own particular love. Krishna Balaram. I tell you though, just today I walked into that temple, Raghunath.
That temple's so good.
I looked at Krishna Balaram and I was like, I was like, how did you get so beautiful? This is not fair. You are so beautiful. It's like crazy.
Did you ever get to go on the altar there?
One time I went on the altar, Raghunath, because my Guru Maharaj was doing the puja every morning for Radha Shama Sundar. And,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the puja, you got to get down and kind of wipe up the floor. And
Yeah.
his knee wasn't so good that for a little while. And so for a few days in a row or a week or something, I'd go up there every morning, and when the time was right, I'd jump up on that altar and wipe it down. It was
Ooh,
wonderful.
I got to do it a couple times before what was it, before Mughal Artik, get the deities. I can't remember what I did, but as soon as I got second initiation, I was like pushing my way into every crevice that I could do any type of service. And I got
Right.
to do I got to do Mughal Artik with Prabhupada once, and that was very wonderful.
Really?
Yeah,
Whoa.
that was very, very
Were
special.
you
I don't know
nervous?
how I don't know how I worked my way into that one, but
Were you
I
nervous?
got it. I was a little nervous,
Were
truthfully.
people like, what's that guy doing up there?
Who is he? Who does he think he is? He doesn't
Get
know
him
how
off
to
that
wave-
altar.
He doesn't even know how to wave that yak tail fan yet. I was so green.
That's amazing, Raghunath.
Yeah.
You know, we went in yesterday. Some of us went, or day before yesterday. Some of us went to where my Guru Maharaj stayed, the house where he stayed there.
Oh yeah.
And the little room, they kind of have like the little room where it's like his bedroom. It's like a tiny little room,
Yeah.
and you can actually see it and go into it. And I was remembering that that's the room where I received Gayatri Mantra after our my second initiation, your initiation there.
Isn't that cool that we were initiated there together
Yeah,
in
we
a
were
Krishna
thinking about
Balaram
it.
temple?
I was thinking about it.
Very special. Magic times we
Yeah,
had
I
together.
was thinking
and
about
I.
you that
You
evening
thinking of
of that
me
day.
yesterday on Valentine's Day? You were thinking of me?
It had nothing to do with Valentine's Day, Raghunath. Absolutely nothing.
Well, was it yesterday you were thinking of me? Because that was Valentine's Day.
I don't even remember if it was yesterday or not.
Probably
but,
could have been
no,
yesterday.
actually, it was
Chapu,
today. It was
yesterday
today.
that he was. It
It
was
was today.
yesterday. It's
No,
okay.
it was today. No, I'm
was
sorry,
today.
Raghu. It was today.
Well, guess what? Guess what today is in America? Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but we're in America. Any case, no, but I was thinking, and I think I've told this story before, but in that evening, because it was Lord Nityananda's appearance day, the altars were decorated with tons of fruit and everything, and at the last arti, the pujari started throwing the fruit into the audience. Everyone's having a kirtan, they're throwing the fruit out.
Mm-hmm.
I was standing next to my Guru Maharaj and Giriraj Swami, and they threw, and you caught a piece of fruit.
Yeah.
And then you started like madly jumping around, like I got it. Like you're just like you're some crazed madman. And my guru just looked over at Giriraj Swami, he's just cracking up. So that's those are some reasons for Krishna Balaram. And in the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, as Raghunath was saying, of course, that is, people are asking me a lot lately because we're visiting these two places, like, Mayapur or Vrindavan. Do you have a favorite? Do you like to, would you like to live here or there?
Mm.
And one thing that's where I generally go, because it's sincerely how I feel, they are the same place.
Mm.
But they're just manifesting a different mood. In other words, it's like the same person in two different moods.
It's an offense to consider them different.
Actually, you're right. They're non-different.
It's an
And
offense of the
and
tongue.
I think as you go deeper into understanding who Sri Chaitanya is, it's the more that you realize it. Because who is Sri Chaitanya? He is Radha and Krishna. He's Krishna and Radha in one. He's Krishna in the mood of Radha, manifests as Krishna with Radha's complexion, and he's right in the center of the TOVP. So, so for someone that's well, let me put it this way: the more that you understand that, the more that you say, "Oh, of course, he's right there." So that's really important, and that's something that we really. He said Prabhupada said himself that he wanted Krishna Balaram and Gaura tied together because he wanted to show the world that, not all India gets that. Maybe people in Bengal and some people in Vrindavan and so on get that. he wanted to show the whole world that.
Mm.
But I believe you could say the same thing for the Panchatattva temple, for the TOVP, that this is a way of showing the world that Sri Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna, and that the worship of Sri Chaitanya is there's no higher worship. There's no more deeply meaningful worship. It's Krishna feeling the same love that Radha feels. It's God Himself so moved by Radha's love that He comes in the mood of Radha, with the complexion of Radha. There's really nothing higher, more esoteric, more perfect to place in the center of our worship than that. So I think we could say that for the TOVP as well. Is that okay?
Perfecto.
Gracias, señorita.
Perfecto.
Okay. Okay, Raghunath.
Thanks,
we have-
Chapu. Greg
think-
DeGasu says at the Atlanta temple, Prabhupada said,
Yeah.
put Chaitanya and Nityananda in the center. And that's probably because they call that temple New Panihati, which is a place in
Panihati.
Bengal where Lord Chaitanya performed pastimes.
Acha.
That's my guess.
So they have 3 sets of deities there? I guess they
think
must.
they have Radha and
Otherwise, it's hard to
Krishna.
put them in the center. Yeah, Radha and
Yeah.
Krishna,
Yes, they do. 3.
Gaurnitai. Who's on the other side?
Yeah. Who's on the other side,
Who's on
Greg?
the other side, Greg? Let us know.
Jagannath.
Jagannath. There you go. Okay. All right, one more question, Raghu. Shall we take another question?
Jainatai. In the same way they say Jai Radhe, everyone in Bengal, Jainatai.
Mhm.
Even in the hotel in Calcutta, they're like, Jainatai.
It's Jainatai. Yeah.
Jainatai.
Okay, you ready?
But they
We have
say it with that
Celine.
Bengali accent. So it's like
Joy-natai.
Joy-natai. Joy-natai. Joy-natai.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's bring up Celine.
Who's up? Yeah,
Hello.
Celine. Celine from Switzerland.
Have we had Celine on recently?
No, I've never been.
Oh,
Never been.
Here we go, Raghunath.
She's our
you wanna
Swiss
get
miss.
this started?
We call
wanna
her the
get-
Swiss miss.
Do you want to ask
Yeah.
her story and all that?
Yeah, Celine, what's your story? How'd you get into this in the first place? I know there's a lot of nice devotees living in Switzerland. You live outside of Zurich, is that correct? In Bern?
In Bern, but it's actually the capital of Switzerland, which a lot
Oh,
of
it
people
is.
don't know.
I didn't know that.
It's about an hour away from Zurich,
But I have swam in that river in Bern.
in the Aare. It's
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
people. It's a
really nice.
one of these beautiful, clean rivers. You can all the rivers. You can swim in the rivers in Zurich. Everything is clean in Sweden's Bern. Yeah. So tell me about Bern and how did you get into bhakti? Sitting there in this beautiful, charming Swiss village.
Well, I think different seeds had been planted in my life. I guess it started when I was a teenager. I was handed a
Oh.
Bhagavad Gita by devotees, but I couldn't really make a lot of sense out of it at that
Yeah,
time.
me neither. Me neither. When I got that Bhagavad Gita, I was like, thank
I'm
you.
not the only one.
Yeah.
And but somehow I knew this book was important. I never gave it away, even though I moved many, many times. And later it was through Jiva Mukti Yoga, which I practiced and then also became Jiva Mukti teacher, that I heard more of Bhagavad Gita. I went to a lot of kirtans, felt very connected to mostly the Krishna mantras, and met Shamdas, and just got more interested in bhakti. And yeah, but I think that finally it was in the last, so I've, like Dan was saying, I've kind of been around. but
periphery.
Yeah, exactly. And
you went to India too previously.
I was actually in Vrindavan 15 years ago.
Wow.
I had like a pull to go there, but I came by myself. I didn't know anything really.
Right.
And I have to say, I mean, it was a life-changing experience for me then, but it's very different now coming here with such guidance and with
Yeah.
community. It's a completely different story.
For sure. Okay, so then what happened next on your journey?
Well, I went to quite a crisis about 7 years ago. I lost my mother,
Oh.
and we were very, very close. And I think that was the point I started to, like, all these questions I had as a kid, as a teenager, about why are we here? Where do we go? And after this, and they just came back. And one day I was sitting in front of my bookshelf and I saw this little book that said Beyond Life and Death. And it felt like something that was meaningful at that time. And I actually was given that little book by a devotee here in Vrindavan, but I had never read it before. I opened it and it said what you said before. She wrote in the book, always remember Krishna and never forget him. And that was kind of the moment that I remembered, and I was praying for association, and prayers were answered. I found the podcast, and I'm very, very grateful for, your service, the daily dose of inspiration, the wonderful community. I made so many deep connections and beautiful friendships. And
we have great people in our lives, don't we?
Yes.
And I should share a little bit, but Celine, she's mother of 3 young children, wife, yoga teacher, wakes up early in the morning, chants 16 rounds per day, studies Shastra, teaches yoga, brings kirtan into yoga, and brings teachings into yoga.
You really have a lot of excuses.
To.
Say, I chanted 1 round today. You could say, well, one of the kids, you have a million very good excuses why you didn't do anything spiritual today, but you're pulling it off, and it's quite impressive.
She does seva at the temple there regularly, and so it's, she's really, it's a fact. It's like she really goes for it, and I'm so happy that she was able to come here to the Dham, and even if it's just a relatively short visit, maybe 2 weeks tops, not even.
Yeah, I went to Mayapur a little bit before our trip, and so 2 weeks altogether.
Nice. And that Swiss temple is really nice also, isn't it?
It's a beautiful temple. I love it. Yeah, it's like home. So
a lot of nice
beautiful
temple.
Community also. Yeah,
ever
I
tell you
hope
the
you can
time?
Come one day.
Well, I ever tell you the time in 1993 I went there with my band, and we stayed at the temple. We got pulled into that temple at 2:00 in the morning. They gave us a room, and then at 3:30 we got a knock on the door. Magalartik, wake up! And I was like, oh my God, we just went to bed an hour and a half ago. So we all grabbed Sachi Sutta and we threw him out the door as a human sacrifice. You go to Mangalartik on our behalf. We're too tired. But yeah, it's a sweet place and a sweet community there. You're blessed. So what's your question? How can we serve you?
Yeah, I've just been very curious about Vyasadeva and how it comes that he was, empowered to write so many books and over what seems like a long period of time. And sometimes when I tell this to people, like all these books, they're written by Vyasadeva, they say like, well, it's not possible that it's the same author. And I mean, I understand that in our tradition, there's a lot of things that we don't understand with our senses, like how can God be a blue boy playing with cows? But since he's the author, I found like, if he's credible, then also, then we believe more of what he writes. So I'm just interested in who he was and what really empowered him to write so many books.
Oh, Kaustubha, if Celine is going to think it's a little weird that he wrote so many books in such a lifetime, wait till this next little fun fact.
Yes, this may not help you convince other people.
He's a Chiranjiva, meaning he is still alive.
There's certain people called
there's only
Chiranjivas. It means they live impossibly long lifetimes, practically.
Yeah, like I have a limit of how much I can do in this lifetime. I can only write so many books, but he can't. There's certain beings that don't die. They have like a special birth, and they say he's still alive, and he's just imperceptible by certain people. He is perceptible by some people, but he's imperceptible by most people. And so he might be still writing up there. Who knows? I think he's got plenty of time to write. I think he's probably got a lot of good books coming out of him coming soon. They say
Yeah, he's-
Hanuman is also a Chiranjiva.
Yeah, he's both Chiranjiva and as well as Shaktivesha avatar. So he's especially he could write all those books in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
know,
he's like
it-
Chat
it's-
GBT of the sages.
Yeah,
Let's-
so there's an element of faith involved in this. Even like our sampradaya, the Brahma, sampradaya, it goes, you have Krishna to Brahma, to Narada, to Vyas, to Madhva. So, like that's like a very long jump right there. But our faith is that he's got that ability. He's beyond this. So it's supernatural. That would be our answer. It's a supernatural feat. But the fact is, even if you looked at it all from an entirely empirical kind of level, if you're truly objective, you have to admit this is a unique literature. That so much stems from so much knowledge, so much wisdom, so much philosophy, so much poetry, so much beauty, all stemming from this. It's unique. It's unique one way or another. So we're saying, yeah, it's unique, and it's unique because it's coming from a uniquely empowered person.
And
How's that?
his whole life is quite magical. Dwaipayana, he was born on the island. I think it was a virgin birth as well. By the way, here's a fun trivia question for both of you. Can you name any more Chiranjivas?
I used to know a bunch of them.
Mara just said Narada, but that's not what Google says. Ashvatthama. Ashvatthama was cursed.
Yes.
He was cursed to roam the earth till the end of Kali Yuga.
Okay.
They say Bali Maharaj visits Onam, or during Onam, which is a holiday in Kerala. He visits.
What about Prahlad?
It doesn't mention Prahlad.
Okay.
Parshuram is one of the immortals. He's an avatar. He's a Shaktivesha avatar. Kripacharya is also one of the immortals. Markandeya Rishi is one of the immortals. And guess who else? I'll give you a hint.
Narnarayan Rishi.
Nope. I'll give you a hint. He was a bad guy, but he became a good guy and surrendered to Lord Ram. Yeah, Mara.
Oh.
Vibhishan.
Okay. Vibhishana.
And of course, Hanuman.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
on
they
that
are
note,
believed to still roam the earth and live amongst people, but not everyone can see them.
is that a satisfying answer, Celine? Sort of, maybe a little.
Yeah.
She might be more
I mean,
confused.
I do have a lot of faith in it. I was just, was curious. But yeah, it helped. Thank you.
Okay. Raghunath, I think we're done for today.
Okay. I have interesting. When I see you, I have private conversations about parampara with you. I want to talk about
Okay.
privately.
very
not on a
private, secret.
podcast.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for joining us. And thanks to all the Q&As. Tomorrow we're taking a day off. These guys are doing Govardhan Parikrama. And we're back the next day, which is Monday. What time are we on, Miss Mara?
6 a.m. Eastern time.
6 a.m. Eastern time. Very cool.
All right.
All right, everybody. Hey, it's a special day. Check out this very cool thing I found called Jain Academy 108. Jain Academy 108. It's going to blow your mind. I don't know who this guy is. His name might be Jan, but it's spelled Jain Academy 108.
That's your
And
new
also-
band?
No. This is a guy who works with sacred geometry and Maha Mantra, and it's amazing. It's amazing. You're gonna open a can of sacred geometrical worms here, and it's gonna go on forever. Sacred numbers and numerology. Very, very interesting guy. I'm not quite sure where he is. But the band was Atmosfera. I put the link on the board there for people to check that out. Thanks everybody who joined late that I didn't say good morning to, like Sammy Long, like Michelle,